Hello guys. In this video, we are actually going to discuss about the periodic properties of these elements within just 20 minutes. Let's roll. First, in the early 1800s, different periodic properties and periodic tables were actually given by different scientists, like Newland's octet and Lothamay's curves, and also the Mendeleev's periodic table. And when you look upon this Mendeleev's periodic table and Lothamay's curves and Newland's octet, we may not be that much familiar with these kinds of structures as we are more familiar with our god, that is our modern periodic table. But when we look upon this tables, that is the old periodic tables like Newland socket and Lothar May's curves, and also the Manley's periodic table. Of course, I forgot to say that Manley's periodic table is one of the most accepted one before, or it's most relevant than were comparing to the other two. Manley's periodic table is the most relevant one, and after the discovery of the modern periodic table, Mendel's periodic table got outdated. But in all of this periodic table, all of this were based on the idea that the properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses, like atomic masses. In 1930, he is our god, that is our Henry Moseley, conducted an experiment that conducted the X-ray spectroscopy with a lot of elements. He came up with a number called as atomic number, that's Z, and then he came up with this modern periodic law. It's very important. That's our basis. That's the properties of elements, are periodic functions of their atomic number. That's there will be a number called as atomic number, and the properties of those elements will be the periodic function of their atomic number. And later we came to know that Z is the number of protons inside the nucleus. Z is the number of protons inside the nucleus. Then this is formed, that is our periodic table of elements. And in the periodic table of elements, we can say it's actually divided into four blocks. That is, this is S block, this is S block, and this is P block, this one is P block, and this one, that is a here to here and up to here, and this is D block, and this is a F block. D block is also known as transition elements, and F block, which consists of lanthanides from lanthanum to lutetium, and actinides from 89 to Lawrencium, that is actinium to Lawrencium, also contribute towards the F block, or the inner transition elements. That is that is here, that is this is S block, this is P block, this is D block, and this is F block. When the valence electron enter to the S orbital, we know that, and in an electron there are four kinds of orbital, that is S orbital, P orbital, D orbital, and F orbital. And if the valence electron is actually entering to the S block, S orbital, then that element belong to the S block element. If the valence electron actually entered to p orbital, then that element belongs to the p block. And if the valence electron entered to the d orbital, then that element belongs to the d block. That is the transition element. And if the elements, if the valence electron of the particular atom enters to the f orbital, then it is said to be an f block or inner transition elements. And metals are arranged more towards the left side, that is S block, and P block contains both metals and non-metals. But when we look upon this kind of a blue shade is actually metals, and non-metals is like this. And this is a noble gas, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon. That one is actually a noble gas, which actually do not contribute to any of this reaction. But actually metals are towards the left side and non-metals are towards the right side. And this okay, then we are going to discuss about our first property, that is our shielding effect. Shielding effect, that is the shielding, or when the nuclear charge, the magnitude of nuclear charge that an atom possesses will be equal to the number of protons which is actually present in that nucleus. So it is that nuclear charge which actually holds the valence electron of that atom towards itself, right? okay, valence electron towards itself. But there will be an effect known as shielding effect, which is actually because of which is actually caused by the inner electrons, which is actually present in the different orbitals of s, p, d, and f within the nucleus and the outermost orbital, which is shield the effective nuclear, which is shield the nuclear charge which is acting upon the valence electron. Suppose if there is the magnitude of nuclear charge which is acting upon the valence electron is 7, then the inner electrons which is actually present between the nucleus and the valence electron, between the nucleus, this is the nucleus, and between this valence electron, and there will be lots of electrons which is present with between these two things, and that electrons in different, that electron may be of s orbital, maybe of p orbital or d orbital or f orbital. It will shield the effective nuclear charge which is acting upon the valence electron, right? Do you understand? The effective nuclear charge which is acting upon the valence electron will be shielded by the inner electrons. You can see there's all those red evil electrons, and all those electrons will actually shield the effective nuclear charge which is acting upon the valence electron, and therefore the effective nuclear charge acting upon the valence electron will be lesser than the actual nuclear charge which is actually given by the nucleus, and that is called as a shielding effect. Okay, and then shielding effect, the shielding effect of s orbital will be very high. You can see here there is s greater than p greater than d greater than f. That is that is the shielding effect of s orbital is very high than shielding effect of p orbital, and it is very high the shielding effect of d orbital and f orbital. F orbital, in the case of f orbital, there is actually very negligible shielding effect is only there. So we can is there is no need to take up f orbital into consideration while we are considering about shielding effect. But as s orbital is more closer to the nucleus, we know that in an atom it contains a one. For example, if you are considering the configuration of carbon, it will be 1s2 2s2 2p2, it will be 1s2 2s2 2p2, right? 1s2 2s2 2p2, and in that 1s2 2s2 2p2, and and in that way the elements are arranged according, the electrons are arranged according to s, p, d, and f. And so we can say that the s orbital is actually laying more closer to the nucleus. Therefore the shielding effect of s orbital is very high than p, than d, than f. Okay, then the atomic radius. We know that what is atomic radius. Atomic radius is the distance between the nuclei and the valence electrons. Okay, but in former way, or but in a older time, there is no actual way to actually to calculate this atomic radius. So scientists came up with the two type of radius, that is covalent radius and van der Waals radius. Covalent radius, well, we are considering a metal lattice and two atoms, and then the half of the internuclear distance between two atoms, then is called as a R covalent. And when in the half of the internuclear distance between two, yeah, you can see here half of the internuclear, this figure, when from this figure you can clearly understand, in this you can clearly understand that. Okay, the half of the internuclear distance between the two adjacent atoms is known as a van der Waals radius. Sorry, it's not, sorry, pardon me, sorry, it's my mistake. It's not the half, it's actually the distance between the internuclear distance between the nucleus of two adjacent atom in a metal lattice, that is called as a covalent, is called as van der Waals radius. And of course van der Waals radius is actually higher than a covalent metallic radius, and it is actually greater than covalent radius. And when we consider about the trend, as we are moving from left to right in a periodic table, we know that nuclear charge is actually increasing as one electron. While we consider from like let's look upon this, that is a boron to carbon. When we move from boron to carbon, one electron and one proton is added. So actually the effective nuclear charge, or actually the nuclear charge will be increased from 5 to 6. You guys getting me? You guys are getting me, right? 5 to 6, the nuclear charge is actually increased from 5 to 6. Just forget about the effective nuclear charge and shielding effect. Just consider it as a 5 to 6. It is actually increased from 5 to 6. So the orbital, so as the nuclear charge is actually increasing, the valence electron will be held more towards the nucleus. Therefore actually when we are moving from left to right, the atomic radius actually decreases, and when we are moving from top to to bottom, as as new shells is being added to the atom, the valence electron is getting more and more away from the nucleus, and atomic radii actually increases here. And then when we consider about the ionic radii, let's consider ionic radii. What is an ion? Ion is formed when an atom loses or gain one electron. So, in the case of an isoelectronic species, we will have all the like when we consider O2 minus F minus Na minus and so on, all will have the same number of electrons. That's why I call as isoelectronic. And the one with the least number of protons will have the largest radius, because when the number of proton increases, the nuclear charge increases. Therefore, the tendency to hold the valence electron towards more closer to the nucleus actually increases. Okay, let's under you should understand the topic to understand this. So the one with the most amount of protons will have the smallest radius, because when the number of protons increases, the nuclear charge actually increases, and therefore the tendency to hold the valence electron towards itself actually increases. Therefore the radius actually decreases. Okay. Then, when we consider about the ionization enthalpy is the energy that we should supply to remove a loosely bounded electron from a isolated gaseous atom. So, when we consider about either low, so yeah, that you can look upon this figure. That's actually this is the energy needed is equal to ionization energy. That is energy that we should remove, energy that we should supply in order to remove is called as ionization energy. And okay, and when one electron is removed, the orbit, the atomic radii actually decreases, and nuclear charge acting on the valence electron actually increases, right? Okay, and therefore the first ionization energy will be lesser than the second ionization energy, and it will be lesser than the third ionization energy. That is, the third ionization energy will be the most, or will be the highest one, because in the case of first ionization energy, the effective nuclear charge acting on the valence electron will be lesser as compared to the second ionization. In the case of second ionization energy, because in the case of second ionization energy, the valence, or the number of valence electron that is actually the nuclear charge is actually acted upon is actually less. Therefore the effective nuclear charge is actually increased, and the radius is actually decreased. Therefore more work should be done, or more energy should be supplied in order to remove a loosely bounded electron. And when we consider about the trend, when it moves from left to right in a period where it actually increases, ionization energy actually increases because the nuclear charge is actually increasing. And when we actually move from top to bottom, the ionization energy actually decreases. Ionization enthalpy actually decreases as new shells are being added. The atomic radii actually increases, and effective nuclear charge acting on the valence shell actually decreases. And it's an always a positive value, that we always need to supply some amount of work to actually remove. And we can see the variation in beryllium versus boron, or nitrogen versus oxygen. Yeah, here look at this: beryllium, boron, nitrogen versus oxygen, and magnesium and aluminum, because of the extra stable or fully filled orbital of beryllium and magnesium. In the valence orbital, that is beryllium and magnesium will have a fully filled 2s orbital, while nitrogen will have a half filled orbital. We know that fully filled and half filled orbitals will possess a extra stability. So we need to supply more work to remove a electron from an extra stable orbital. Okay, then we are learning about electron gain enthalpy. Electron gain enthalpy is energy absorbed or released whenever you give an extra electron into an atom. That is it is actually positive value for noble gas, as they do not want to change the configuration. You can actually visualize it. And in the case of halogen, there's a fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. And in the case of halogens, it will become high negative value, as they will release a lot of energy. And electron affinity is actually a mathematical representation of electron gain enthalpy, which is actually it will be of different sign, but it is actually magnitude. When we consider about the magnitude, it's actually same. And when we consider about the trend, electron affinity, when it is moving from left to right in a period, electron affinity increases. Why? The nuclear charge is actually increasing. Therefore even if one more electron is actually added, the nucleus will have the tendency, or nucleus will have the ability to hold that electron towards itself. While the nuclear charge is actually let's consider a situation like the nuclear charge is actually low. When the nuclear charge is actually low, the nucleus will not have that much ability to actually hold the valence electron towards itself. That's why the case when as the atomic size is that's why the case when it's actually moving from a top to bottom in a period, top to bottom in a group, the electron affinity actually decreases. Here it is actually bottom to top. It's actually moving from bottom to top. That's why it's mentioned here as increases. While we are considering from hydrogen to francium, that is a top to bottom. So, sorry, lithium to francium, that is top to bottom in a group. The effective nuclear charge acting upon the valence electron is actually decreasing. Therefore, the nuclear charge is actually nuclear charge acting upon the valence electron is decreasing. Therefore, the electron affinity is also decreasing. Okay, and we should note that the electronegativity is a property of a bonded atom, and whatever we discussed till now, that is ionization enthalpy or electrogain enthalpy, they all are ability of isolated gaseous atom. And electronegativity well, let's talk about electronegativity. Electronegativity is actually the tendency or ability of an atom in a bonded state to be able to attract the shared pair of electron towards itself. It's not a physically measurable quantity. That is, it's actually the tendency or the ability of an atom in a bonded state to attract the shared pair of electron towards itself. While we are considering about the properties like ionization enthalpy or electrogain enthalpy, all are in isolated gaseous atom, while the concept of electronegativity is considered in a bonded state. Of course, okay. Okay, and the value of electronegativity is not fixed for an certain atom. It depends upon the condition that it exists. Okay. Okay. Then next one. Okay, then we are learning about the electronegativities of elements, different electronegativities of element. That is, electronegativity can the best way to study electronegativity is based on the Pauling scale of electronegativity, because the Pauling scale of electronegativity mentions the electronegativity of each of these elements. Like lithium, it is 1.0, beryllium is 1.5, is 2.5, and like 2.5, 3.5, like that is the magnitude of zero point 0.5 is actually increasing as we move from left to right, and the trend here is electronegativity actually decreases from top to bottom, and its electronegativity actually increases from left to right. That you guys can understand, because as when we are moving from like left to right, the metallic character actually decreases and non-metallic character actually increases. That's what is non-metallic character: the ability of an atom to actually attract that electron towards itself, or the valence electron, or the electronegativity, or and the electron gain affinity is also actually increasing while we are moving from left to right. But while we are moving from top to bottom, as new shells are being added, the electronegativity actually decreases, of course. And the fluorine is the most electronegative element, followed by oxygen, nitrogen, chlorine are equal third, and cesium is the least. Okay, and then the metallic character of hydroxides and oxides. Metallic character and oxides are metallic hydroxides and oxides are actually basic in nature. For non-metals, the nature of oxides and hydroxides is acidic. For metal oxides, the nature of hydroxides and oxides are amphoteric in nature. And when we are considering about covalent character, whenever two things bond, if their electronegativity difference is actually greater than 1.7, then we can say that it is a covalent bond. Yeah, that's when electronegativity difference is actually greater than 1.7. It's actually a covalent molecule. When the electronegativity difference is actually lesser than 1.7, it's actually ionic, and when it is actually 0, it's actually covalent. This is not applicable for every cases, but it's a way that you can easily study it. Okay, and when we are coming to the conclusion of the periodic table trends, we can say that when we are moving from left to right in a period, the ionization energy actually increases, and electronegativity also increases. You can actually rewind this video if you need again if you need that explanation again, you can just rewind this video. And even when we are moving from top to bottom, the atomic radius actually atomic radius actually increases, and electron affinity actually decreases. Here it is actually bottom to top. That's why it is actually mentioned like it's actually given like increasing, but it's actually decreasing when we are moving from top to bottom. And when we are moving from left to right, atomic radius actually decreases, and electron affinity actually increases. And here also electronegativity actually decreases as we are moving from top to bottom, and ionization energy also actually decreases as we are moving from top to bottom. And metallic character actually here metallic character is higher, here metallic character is lower, and metallic character actually decreases from left to right in a period.